while organizing this thing, a lot of people were asking, so you're talking about Git, so eventually they came and talk about Git. Like, when I talked to Albert, he asked, oh, so you're doing the talk on Git, or Chip. He said, you're doing the talk on Git. So we switched. It was going to be, supposed to be a entertaining talk, like half of you would laugh, half of you would be offended. So good. So now, a lot of you like Twitter, so could you just follow this hashtag? It's 139 characters, so please be careful with the punctuation marks. It's 139 characters. So I stole that joke from that guy. He works at GitHub. GitHub is like SourceForge. Does anyone know SourceForge or GitHub? So GitHub is like SourceForge for Git. So yeah, you could read his blog. You can learn a lot of things like Ruby. So history. Git started out as a version control for the Linux kernel. So when they started, they used BitKeeper, but it was proprietary. But they had a free version. Then someone from IBM reverse engineered the protocol. I think it's the same guy who made rsync. So the guy who makes BitKeeper dropped the free release. So Linux had to make Git. So I'm sure you know which guy is Linux there. So Git is British slang for a stupid or unpleasant person. So Linus was quoted saying, I like to name projects after myself. First Linux, now Git. Then Git is a distributed version control system. Then it's not something that you can fully understand in 30 minutes. So I'll be focusing more on workflows rather than syntax. So a lot of us started with CBS. Who started with CBS? Okay. So when SVN became the new cool thing, all we did was substitute CBS with SVN. This is generally okay because of how CBS and SVN interpret data. So basically the only difference between CBS and SVN is that CBS keeps track on a per file basis, while SVN keeps track with the point of view of the repository. So in CBS, you say this is version 5 of this file, while in SVN you say this is this file at version 5. So the weakness in CBS, their way, is that you lose like copying and deleting. So when Git came out, a lot of us were using SVN. So the first thing we did was, of course, substitute SVN with Git. And that didn't really work out for a lot of us. So the reason for this is that Git is a complete paradigm change from SVN. It's distributed, whereas SVN is centralized. So what update means, what commit means, they were changed. Git status is the same. So this is a what? It's probably an SVN layout. So we have a centralized repository. We change code. We get code by having the other developer commit their code into the centralized repository. Then we have to wait for them to do that before we can get their code. So they're Teletubbies. So we haven't really learned anything good from the Teletubbies. So they're very bad at sharing code. So who are good? Who do we know that's good at sharing? No.
Microsoft.
So if there's anything the Care Bears taught us, share. So as you can see, they're not relying on a central repository. So if they want to share codes, you can do it directly. But with big companies or big projects, there's usually, we still maintain the main repository, or what we refer to as the gospel. So we could also do it like this. So we could share amongst ourselves, but we could still push to the main repository. So that's the one that counts. Okay pa so far? Opo mo nalibog. So we could also do other workflows for Git. So this isn't exactly our workflow, so I'm not going to get into trouble. So we have the 3 Care Bears, then that's the senior Care Bear. I don't know what his name is. I just think it's funny to put Care Bears in your slides. So we make a feature branch, which is a different branch from our main line. Then the 3 developer Care Bears just keep on committing to the feature branch. Then the main Care Bear, that's our most senior Care Bear, is the one that reintegrates all the commits made in our feature branch towards our main line. So I guess, so if you're wondering what does a branch mean in Git, how did they get their own repos in the first place? And no, that's not me. So a branch practically means the same in SVN. It's, you're branching, you're going to implement a new feature or a new way of doing things. So in the next slides, we'll be showing you, I'll be showing you how they get their repos in the first place. So let's get code from GitHub. Who have GitHub accounts here? Okay. So let's try to get open frameworks. So Jeremy and I have been trying to do a project on open frameworks just recently. So I used my checkout experience for open frameworks as our example. So you go to GitHub, then you go to the project, and there's a location there, it's highlighted. So it's git blah 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 open frameworks / open frameworks. It's not shown there, but it says open frameworks.git. So you just remember that. So first, let's make our own Git repo. Can you see? Yeah. The lines, the guys at the back? Okay. So making a repo in Git is much simpler. So you just say git init, and since it's distributed, that's the only thing you have to set up. In SVN, you have to set up a server, which is a lot of effort by itself. Then your own working copy, it's much easier, but it still works. So in Git, it's just git init. Then you have your own Git repo. So now we're going to point to the official repository. So that's the gospel. So we say git remote add origin, then the location. Then we fetch the code. So it was an overnight download. So I had to go to sleep. Then I had to take another screenshot in the morning. So that's what we got. We got 4 branches and 2 tags. So we do an ls, so it's empty, it's the same. So why is it empty, even if we fetched it? So it's there, but what we did was just fetch, it's in the background. So we got the 4 branches, so it's there, develop, at Rio Cleanup, iPhone 2, iOS, and master. So they're there, and we need to rebase. So what actually happened was, when we fetch the code, it's just in the background. We're not putting it on our own copy of the repository. So first you need to rebase, but you have to make your initial commit first. So we just make a readme file and we commit it. So when we rebase again, we're now able to see the changes made so far by the Open Frameworks project. So some people use gitk. But I personally prefer Pig. It's an open source project. It's a pager for Git. Yeah, EIG. It's curses based. What happened was that I was working at home, then via VPN. Then I tried using gitk, but it was kind of heavy transferring it. So I searched for a curses based solution. during a release. So I'm going to use a really bad example. So bank accounts. So how many of you have jobs? Wow. Okay, so when we have jobs, we have ATMs, right, for our payroll. So that's a repo. Then we have our own bank accounts. That's another repo. So when we withdraw from our payroll account, that's the get fetch. So it's in your hands, but it's not in your other account yet. So you haven't rebased it yet. So rebasing is depositing the money you've withdrawn from your payroll and putting it in your account. That's bad actually. Because in Git you can place commits in a lot of other branches, but in the real world you can't like you can't put the same money in 5 different accounts.
Yes, that's nice.
Yeah, we're working on it. That's why I'm just working on it. That's why we make printers. Anyway, before I get into more trouble. So yeah, we're still using it like SVN because we're only using one remote. We're still communicating with the main server. So I have a teammate named Carl. So he's also working on the same project. So we could just add him. So this is Carl, and we could just add him as another remote. So we just say git remote add Carl, and we use a different protocol this time since we're just in the same network. So this IP address is 1248 home Carl open frameworks. So we do the same thing over again. So now we have two places that we can share code to. So you can get code from Carl, you can get code from the official repository. So this is our goal, right? So we just do a bunch of git remote adds to the other Care Bears. So we could share now. Can you picture out how it happens? Just by doing git remote a lot of times, git fetch a lot of times. So now this is our goal or something like this. So I make, let's say the Care Bear with the rainbow on its tummy is me. So I make a new feature branch on the official repository. So I say git check out dash the Care Bear is there. So I'm working on the Care Bear feature of open frameworks. So basically I shoot rainbows out of my tummy. So the rest of them, that should actually be not my name because they're not getting it from me. The convention is to name the official repository as origin. So that should be get checkout dash b. You get the you name your local copy of the Care Bears there in the Daryl repository. So what Daryl is the remote. Care Bears there is the branch inside the remote that's named Daryl, and Care Bears there, or we could change that to like Jack. So that would be the name of our local branch that's pointing to the remote branch. Did you follow? Because I managed to confuse myself. So submitting changes. So we're all used to the push metaphor, which is committing, right? In SVN, we say SVN commit, CBS commit. So in Git, there are two ways. There's the old push metaphor, then there's the pull metaphor. So pushing is the old way. Just say git push, the name of the remote, then the name of the remote branch that you want to push to. And there's the pull metaphor. So this is actually used in open source languages, open source projects like Linux. So it's open source, but what they don't tell you is that not everyone has commit access to the repository. So what really happens is that they submit changes. You tell one of the committers in the Linux kernel that, hey, I made these changes. This is my IP address. This is the name of the branch I'm working on, and this is the commit number or the commit hash that I want you to pull. So you're not not able to give him the commit directly. So this has the added advantage of an informal code review. So this is what we do a bit at work, but what really happens is it's a combination of both. So among developers, we do pulls, but when we go to the official repository, we do a push. So yeah, so forgot that was there. So we say git log origin master. So we're trying to check what's in origin at the master branch. So this is the commit that we want to get. Let's pretend that it's not there in our local repository. So as you can see, there's a hash there, 9bbbb f90 and so on. So we remember that. So we say git cherry pick 9bbbb f90bb. So we're saying get this commit from get this hash, then put it on my current repository. So I forgot why this is there. So here's a list of other things that Git can do, but since we're time constrained, I'm just going to skip over it. So you can edit commit messages. In SVN, you can't do that. Change the order of the commits. In SVN, you can't do that. You can merge commits. Like let's say you've been working on 5 commits. You want to just like when you push it to the official repo, you just want it to be 1 commit. You can also do that. In SVN, you can't do that. You can merge branches. Technically you can do this in SVN, but the way Git does it is more elegant and it makes more sense. Then this is like probably a surprise feature. Git can act as a client to SVN and others. So you can add your SVN repository as your remote. So it's just a client. So from your point of view, they're all Git branches. Doesn't ruin your workflow. Then it improves collaboration with other devs. Because instead of waiting for the other devs to push their commits to the official repository, you can get a sort of working version before they're so you're not waiting all the time. In SVN, you say, could you push the commit because I'm waiting on it? Without it, I can't do any work. So in Git, you can have like half-working versions of it, but like it's not really that crucial to have a fully working code. So you can do that with SVN. And yeah, that's why. But it's another joke. Okay. Thank you. So in SVN, I remember when you use Git like SVN, God kills a kitten. So, thank you. Questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Oh no, it's you again.
Sorry, easy question. Do you guys meet for drinks after this? Because I have to leave, but I want to have some chat. Is there any plans?
Where?
No official after?
No.
What's your Twitter? Maybe you can tweet you or anything,
Check.
if ever it will be in.
Okay. Nice one. Enjoy. Good time.
Thanks.
Yes.
Well, what do you think of Git and SVN? What do you think about?
Now that I'm using Git, there's really no way you could make me use SVN now. Sorry, Greg.
Actually, it depends on what you're doing. Yeah, so it's like if you're, I mean, what are your needs?
Yeah.
It's based on needs. Basically,
I think you got me wrong. But because there's this, what I used to practice before, it's like Git, that's where you ask the browser, and then we still maintain the
Official one.
forms, just the SVN. So Git interfaces with SVN. So what do you think? What I'm asking is, what do you think of that kind of approach?
It's okay from a maintainability point of view. I think Chad could give a better answer.
I don't know. We do this at work. I'm not sure that I understand all the nuances of having Git get by.
Yeah.
We get by, but I do know that people get confused about how these things get bridged together.
What he said.
Daryl, I have a question.
Oh no.
So when you are collaborating with other developers and you are pulling code from them with Git, usually it's pretty important that you don't, and I don't like Git for this reason, that you can edit your commit history, so you can just check stuff in, you can reorganize and refactor later. But when you share that with somebody else, it's important that you don't do that. So practically speaking, how do people both collaborate with people, but then how do they maintain their own workspace or branches so that they have the freedom to go edit their commit history, but at the same time not get somebody else's repo confused?
The general, like, what I've read so far on the internet is that once someone posts any of your changes, you're not supposed to change it. But what we do in our team, we just squash all the commits, so it becomes just one commit. Then that's the one we pass around.
So you keep squashing every time you
Yeah.
commit stuff?
But it's been, we only have a problem like the original version was changed, so it happens like this one happened like twice or thrice. So what we just do is we squash it, then we pass it around.
So it goes to subversion as one big
No,
squash
just,
commit?
yeah, the squash commit is the one that gets into the brain.
Okay.
In the example you showed where everyone is putting each other's code, how do you merge it to the central repo? Wouldn't it be complicated?
It's a lot easier in practice actually. We have like our senior guy, he's the one that does all the merging. So he could merge it. Then there's also a convention of like keeping our commits like same. So like what should be changes that go together should just go into one commit. Changes that are different, you segregate those into different commits.
I was in this, but I'm quite a bit confused when I was using the framework last year when I was using it. There was this problem where I quite confused with merging.
Yeah.
Then there's this problem. They output some helpful feedback also, which is good for Git. So they suggest me either I git stash it.
Yeah.
So what does git stash mean? I git stash, then after pulling again, it merges. So it's back to okay again. But I don't
Have you tried
understand
copying your stash?
what's stashing.
Stash is like a stat. If you have local modified changes in your workspace, you can git stash those changes so that you can retrieve them later. So it's like you take the modified source files and set them aside, and then you can pop that back into the workspace.
So when I pop it, it automatically merge.
No,
Or
it's
nodes.
uncommitted
It's almost like a
changes.
cherry pick, right?
Yeah, it's like you have two repositories, but it's not version.
So I need to, can I pop it out and put it in the different branch?
You have to commit it first. Stashes are unpacked changes. I mean uncommitted changes.
Yeah, it's for local, right?
Local. So
But let me ask the question that I think that he was trying to ask. Can you get stash changes and then switch branches and then get pop and put them back on the new branch?
I've never tried doing that. What I do is I commit it and I just cherry pick it.
I think you can do it because the stash just copies, creates a temporary path for all the local dirty changes you have. And if you go to a different branch, if you apply it there, it's actually like free speaking. So the changes you have in a different branch, you could copy it there. Now, one of the reasons you would want to do a stash is that every time you switch branch, the Git will reapply the changes on the latest you have changes there and you go to a different branch, your changes can conflict or will be overwritten from what is latest in the other branch. So you want to do a git stash so that it doesn't get lost. You go to a different branch, you make changes there, whatever you want to do. If you go back to the branch you're working on, then you could git stash apply, and then the changes, all your changes will still be there. Or you could do what other people do. They go to a different branch and apply their stash there. So that's actually what's how people use stash for.
So, yes, and what I've generally done is when you are sort of in the middle of something, you want to go change to another branch. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll just do a commit, I go to the other branch, do my thing, and then when I come back to that branch, I may like revert that commit, and that's what I say. That's the powerful thing about Git is you just put stuff away, but then you can always go back and edit your commits. You can squash changes, you can split them, and you can do just about anything. And I love that because I hate it when I go to our main repo and I look at Subversion and I see changes like, I did this feature, and then I said fix compile bug, fix link bug, fix unit test bug, right? It's like, I don't want to see that. I want to see the cleaned up version of I made this change. I mean, only those changes. That's why I asked you about whether it's one big commit, right? Because I like to see small targeted commits, and they're easier to digest mentally, right? We're trying to figure out how code is changing, evolving.
What we do is like we keep all the granularity and we just do a git merge to mainline. So what appears then in our mainline, yeah, it's a merge, but it keeps all the metadata there. So you know that in another branch, this is how much granularity we have. Okay, so I'm taking up Mark's time. So